Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Mic check. Yeah, looks like everything's working correctly. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hopefully, so far today, you've had a fantastic day. Welcome to the daily afternoon market recap and offerings. We'll also take a look and see if we can find some S&P scalps along the way and get some fun stuff there. I always like to see if we can get a point a day to keep the JOB away. Over the next 30 to 60 minutes or so, we're going to be covering what took place today, and because it's Friday, we're also going to be doing a recap over the week, and just taking a look at the trade setups and all of that fun stuff that presented themselves per the rules outlined in the Day Trading Academy and the VIP trade plans. Hey, Bram, how's it going? I'm going to talk about every setup that presented itself today, but remember, not all patterns and setups are created equal. The ones I'm going to be covering here don't use any common sense filters at all. That means that if it's going long in a massive downtrend or shorting at the bottom of a range, it doesn't matter. You get the picture. I do this to ensure total fairness, and that way, when we're doing the pattern review, there's no cherry picking or anything like that. Don't forget, before we kick this off, smash the like button and let the YouTube algorithms know what's up. Heck, while you're at it, if you haven't yet, subscribe, of course, and that way you don't miss the next video. If you want to hang out with me and the rest of the VIP crew, you've got a couple different options. In the US morning session, YouTube members get to join in right before everything kick off to do our morning prep in the VIP room for the first 20 or 30 minutes there. So YouTube members, nice little perk there. Also, if you want to see what the live trade room is all about, we've got a 1-week trial, which you can find a link for in the main page of SSFTG. When you register for that, you also are able to sign up for a 30-minute call to talk about any questions or anything else that you want to discuss, whether it's about membership or trading or whatever. Plus, it's totally free, no credit cards or anything like that to register. So that way, when you register, because, well, it's all based on availability. So that way you can get on the calendar for a call. Of course, if you have any questions about what we offer or what we have available for you or anything else in between, some trades or trade reviews or whatever, Q&A time is after the charts while we're looking for some S&P scalps and all that fun stuff. So we'll definitely get you taken care of. So with all that out of the way, let's take a look at what happened today. Now let's take a look at what happened this week and all that fun stuff. So first off, for the day, we can see that we had 4 total trades, and out of those 4 total trades, 3 of them failed. It's been kind of a back and forth week. One of them was successful. So the total potential for today, all patterns for the morning session would keep it at a -1R. If we're looking at the total for the week, there were 22 total trades this week, 10 of them being successful, 12 of them failing, for a total potential of a +10R on the week. So from the pattern perspective, really solid. Certainly can't be upset by any means as far as the patterns and how they've all been working out. Sure, there's been some frustrating days where it's like a +1R, a -1R, a +1R, but when it really hits it out of the park, then it's +6, +5, these really big ones that make up for it. That's the beauty about trading that way. The nice thing is, as well, along with that, it's very simple, right? You don't have to spend a whole lot of time waiting. You just wait for a couple triggers and go along with it. Of course, if we dig in a little bit more as to what happened at each one of these zones, we can see that there are a few things that have happened along the way. So one of the first things, obviously, we have this original area of interest for the sellers to try to drive down. And this is something that we were talking about in the VIP room this morning that was very reminiscent of yesterday. Now, if you remember yesterday, I was talking about how I got absolutely slamma-jammed in a short. They rug pulled me hard. And yesterday was a fear-driven FOMO move to the upside. Obviously, if you played it out per your plan, it still ended up being a nice setup. But today was another one of those scenarios where it looked like they were going to try to pull the rug. And if we think back to yesterday, from a psychological perspective, there's going to be a lot of shorts that got stuck yesterday who are going to be super sketched whenever there's a big move like this against them. They're not going to hang out anymore. Well, guess what? When the market's rallying up, we have a Jumbotron POC zone. We've got a rising level of resistance and horizontal structural support across the top. So really, all this was fear-mongering for JP and Goldman to eat those stops up and eat those orders up like they're going out of style. So the way that this set up, we were kind of talking about this in the room and how, yes, this is driving up and this is technically a failed pattern, and I'm counting it as such, of course. But there's a definite way to manage it into this fear move for a really, really nice rotation all the way back down again, and even a little bit more continuation. Anyway, as we continue along with the move, I don't know what happened. Where did my other... I don't know why it's way the heck over here. This is supposed to be... Okay. Well, What? Hang on. I thought I had this all marked up, but maybe I accidentally deleted it. We've got the continuation phasing to the downside. That's a 2-to-1 in this case. There we go. I probably just accidentally deleted it. Whatever. So we've got the downside continuation for further momentum on a bounce 4 with really, really strong failure movement on the top. Pure psychological play on the highs. It was nothing more than just handing over contracts to Goldman and JP, and then they rolled that thing all the way back over and dumped it through the floor. Now, when they started diving down with a really aggressive rotation, they had a small little back and forth, again, kind of like a little megaphone structure that finally began breaking down. And when it began breaking down, that also created a bounce 4 for a continuation phase, and you can see that really didn't take a whole lot with a follow-through continuation move to the downside, where, geez, the bottom just absolutely fell apart. Now, when they started trying to rotate back up, this is along in a massive downtrend, like I said, common sense not taken into account here, but as far as a pattern is concerned, we do have long interest. It's very obvious that when the longs failed, they got out of break even. But within that, there's a lot of different ways to manage it. Again, per the rules of what we have outlined, it's a loss based on, again, everything outlined. That said, inside of that is plenty of opportunities to manage it for a rally back up in for those break-evens, and possibly even to rotate it back lower. And while I was talking about this one over here and everything that was going on, we were doing a whole write-up in the VIP room about scalping in, scalping out, etc., and the risk rewards associated with it. I missed this one. So, it's c'est la vie, right? One of those things where, in hindsight, yes, it would have been a loss, but that looks like that would have been a banger of a trade to the downside if you managed it properly. I missed that one totally. We were talking about something else at the time, so there's nothing I can really do about that one. As it stands, though, for the week, like I said, 22 total trades, successful, 10 of them. Failed, 12. Total potential for a 10R this week on just the patterns. Along the way, though, like we've been talking about on all of these different setups, there's a lot of different ways to manage it to ensure that things work out a bit differently. So as things stand, now that we're going into the end of the day, end of the week, wasn't me this time, yeah, seriously. We've got this rotation back and forth, and one of the big things that we've been keeping an eye on all morning is the NASDAQ with this overdrive to the downside. This more goes back out to the larger 60-minute perspective, but this is the ABCD drive lower. It's kind of hard to see the red, I guess, but you've got the ABCD drive to the downside. The exact one completion was a little bit further up at 663. They made it all the way down to 560. Either way, we have a very big ABCD corrective phase after a 5-wave impulse, and this corrective phase is finishing up right in the bottom of the 4th wave. Obviously, this is a bit of a concern as to how things are playing out, because if this does have the bottom fall out, this could easily extend for 5-wave continuation. We'll have to wait and see, but right now it's bouncing pretty nicely off of the ABCD. Maybe we get bulls to rotate back up. One very, very obvious thing that took place on the S&P and the NASDAQ, both together, all the indexes really, is that there was a really big accumulation phase where a lot of bulls, very likely bulls, look at the trend up. How could they not be bulls? Very likely a lot of bulls trying to buy into the dip, and they just had the rug pulled out from under them. That's definitely a catalyst for some pretty heavy continuation if it's going to start squeezing. A lot of stops would have triggered underneath that low. And if that was one of those Goldman swings where they're accumulating underneath the base or accumulating above the highs, we know how that works. We would have seen it work already. So the fact that we've now dunked lower again, that's some definitive concerns, right? We've got some possible concerns as far as what's going on here on the NASDAQ side of things. We'll have to wait and see what they want to do, but yikes. It's way far down. This thing's in the floor right now. So as far as a DP perspective, it's a high probability or a high likelihood that it closes above where we are now, 650s by the end of the day. Very, very high likelihood in terms of probability. But Friday, I mean, you never know. Fridays can really, really throw a spanner in the works. Let's see what's going on. We've got the NASDAQ and the S&P and everything rotating back and forth. Looking at the S&P and seeing what's going on over here. Obviously, this is a very, very aggressive downtrend, rotating heavily lower. The first candle of the day, even though it wasn't a bear bar, was still the high of the day from an RTH perspective. The initial drop to the downside. Let's see what they wanted to do on the impulse as far as volume is concerned. They bottom weighted the POC. Lovely. Now, the thing is, when we bottom weight the POC, we have to ask ourselves, obviously in hindsight we know that these are sellers, but at the time, the sellers don't know that all of this is going to take place. That's their hope, but the buyers are also going to be giving it a shot. So then we have to ask ourselves, were the buyers satisfied? Did the buyers get their targets? No, they did not. Big miss. So the fact that we've got a big miss on the highs means that that is a big objective right now going into the end of the day. But along with that, we have a lot of longs that got trapped. They got stuck in here and rotated down on pretty hard. So if we're playing that off of the mindset that that's where the longs got in the first time around, let's see how they responded a little further down. Any new POCs? Got another one a little bit lower. Did it change if we go over here? Nope, but it looks like it's going to. So as far as the volume is concerned, we have longs which are probably hanging out around the 453s, but then they make another new low. And it looks like we got a POC down here, right? Yeah. Now, notice what all of this support is coming off of. All right? Remember, we've got a lot of longs that got stuck on this move, and they're trying to GTFO out of this thing. They haven't been thrown a bone yet. They got dunked hard. I know the feeling. So with this rotation to the downside, I mean, we've really got to look at this and think, if this does go higher, is it really bullish? Or is it just faux bullish? Like, the buyers aren't really intent on making this create a move to the upside. They're more just looking to get out. And that's kind of the concern at the moment. Now, from a break-even perspective, if we average all of those together, then realistically the average would be, let's see here, get our handy-dandy calculator out, 45.55 quarter plus 45.50 plus 45.1775 divided by the 3 would give us 45.41. So the break-even for the longs right now, 45.41. If they're looking to get out at break-even, that's what they're gunning for. If they're looking for a scalp, well, I guess technically speaking, then they could even try to go all the way up to 59. That'd be nuts, but I mean, it's there. All right, let's see what they want to do. Where's my price line and my bid and ask, and what happened to all my indicators here? No, come on. Let's see. Oh, none of them. There's just no indicators on it at all. Perfect. What is it? Price line? There you are. That's a little hard to see. How about dim gray? There we go. That's better. I don't know what happened. I probably accidentally deleted those too. Seem to be on a roll with that. As far as the S&P is concerned, where we are now, I mean, we've got some obvious concerns in that the sellers are still possibly in control, but we might be in store for a little bit of an upward move first. Nice little bull bar push. We've got a huge amount of support off the POC, and we've got a lot of longs that are stuck, just looking to get out at break even, maybe a little bit more for a scalp. I guess we'll have to wait and see. From the NASDAQ perspective, we've got a nice little back and forth kind of transition going on. Zooming out a little bit further, I mean, we can see this thing just got buried into the floor. See what the sellers want to get done. A lot of support down here on the 18s, though. Nice little dip. So with the kind of underlying bullish pressure that's going on here, this little flush to the downside kind of has my interest on this. Of course, I don't get a fill. Thanks, S&P. Oh, really? Okay, well. guess there's nothing I can do about that. I tried buying bid on that dip, but I didn't get a fill. As far as a zone of interest, I mean, this would be an absolutely horrendous spot for sellers to try to take it in, so I love that for a possible entry point. 45.20 would be the trigger for shorts. Now, given that we do have support a little bit further down, 45.20 down into like the 1750s does make sense, but I think this is just a terrible entry signal bar for the sellers, so I'm looking for a bounce back up off of that. Man, it would have been really nice to get that fill. Okay. Got about 4.5 minutes left on the candles, so there's still plenty of time. Bulls putting some pressure on the NASDAQ a little bit. NASDAQ kind of looking like maybe a funky head and shoulders a little bit. Alright, I'm going to give this a second. This has got some funky gross going on here, and it didn't give me the fill on the bid. We've got some minor gapping from candle closes to open. A little herky-jerky. Maybe we can get a quicker slide off down to like, maybe even back to 1775.
Reverse repo operation.
As far as the overall volume on this base, we've got all of that volume building up at 45.20. Yeah, as you can kind of see the extra concern here. Got 3 minutes until they close this candle out, and I would really like them to close it above that. Noting that this last bear bar triggered or closed underneath it. If they trigger short, there's a shot that the sellers may be able to get some follow through. Really, really nice bull bar on the NASDAQ. Wow. A lot of resistance up here, so it's buying right into a ceiling. That's kind of the concern, huh? We've got more continuation to the upside and a little bit of a... Man... they're reaching, huh? Yes, jeez. I guess rising support. That's wild. It just doesn't fit very well. Yeah, S&P rubbing salt in the wound. I know, you're going up. Thanks. Jeez. Got some resistance up on the 45.32 quarters, but the overall context suggests that it should be able to go a little bit further up. Get out some of these break-evens. That's that yellow line right there. Minute 15 on this current candle. If they can close out relatively strong, they might have something going for them. NASDAQ has potential for a bullish continuation as well off of a B4. S&P's trying to plot a real strong candle here. Hush you, I'll draw what I want. There we go. Alright, let's not lose track of this though, yeah? Alright, see if the NASDAQ wants to get that bounce forward to continue back to the upside. Oh man, it dipped right back down when I went to sell ask. I got a terrible fill on that. Ugh, that was gross. Beautiful entry, horrible fill. Oh man, that's a bummer. Okay, well, they technically haven't hit that zone yet, so I still like it as a zone of interest, but man, that was kind of gross the way they did that. We've also hearing a little bit of bearish pressure coming in. The S&P has closed out a very strong bull bar. As far as the bull's continuation, they closed at 31. It'd be really nice to see if they can grab like 28 or, man, even 27. There is a lot of volatility, so going for a bit more. NASDAQ's got that zone dip back into the ones, and I didn't get a fill on the secondary test. Fantastic. Just got a terrible fill on the target and didn't get filled on the dip. Yeah, it's just... that's the day, huh? All right. S&P down 45.27 is the zone of interest. NASDAQ's just playing herky-jerkus right now. Come on, ES. 45.27. A little further down. I know it's out there, but still got 3.5 minutes. NASDAQ bulls continuing to demonstrate support out of this L1, but we're not getting the follow-through. And we're getting some pretty nasty fills inside there, or lack of fills. What a mess. S&P. Come on now. 2.5 minutes left on the candle. You can do it. It hasn't gone above that last bull bar yet.
So the Washington Post reporting that Biden has signed the stopgap funding bill to avert a shutdown.
For those of you who have no idea what that just was, that is our news provider, Financial Juice. Highly recommended. That's also the clicking and all of that. That's tick strike in the top corner. That. Bulls continuing back to the upside. So again, I mean, the way that they played it inside of there is really, really vicious. I tried getting in, tried getting a really nice bounce, got a horrible fill, didn't get filled on the second test, gave up on the third, and has just been a mess ever since. S&P not dipping far enough, but now triggering the bulls above that past bull bar. Realistically, 32.75 is going to have a lot of bulls who probably picked it up. 31.75 or a little bit of an inside dip back down would be a bit more favorable now. Even 30.75. I'm still going to try to be a bit greedy on the entry. $40 seconds left on the candle. Would really prefer it to fill on this candle. Looks like the S&P is telling me no. All right, little inside pullback to retest the gap, then be at 31. Otherwise, given the time of day, a little bit lower for a dip trap underneath 28.75 would be even better. My big issue right now with the S&P is that it's like right up by the highs. There we go, 28.75. Tested the entry. There we go. Nice little dip. Immediately jumps up, takes the target. All right, fair enough. There we go. A point a day, baby. Keeping that sucker going. Woohoo! Keep that stupid JOB at the sidelines. Get on out of here. Bulls trying to pick it back up again. If they are able to continue back up through the highs, 35.50s, up to the high closes opens, 37.25 would be a target area. Beautiful continuation. Glad we got greedy. All right, and here it sits. Don't forget, if you're looking for a way to hang out with us during the New York Stock Exchange Open a little bit earlier in the day when the markets are bumping around, that's the live trade room that is given to the VIP membership. All 3 levels of VIP membership come with that included. That way you don't have to worry about monthly fees and all that other garbage. Sellers trying to pressure this back to the downside. But, I mean, we can kind of see what's going on. The bulls are trying to hold this back up. NASDAQ's adding a bit of extra pressure, though. That might not help the S&P here. They tried to rotate above the highs. The NASDAQ made a 1-tick new high. Oof. Ooh, that's painful. Oh, man. Okay. How much time we have left on this candle? 2 minutes? They left behind that funky gap back there, and we've got another one back here. If this can slide really aggressively, given how much time we've got, I wouldn't necessarily even mind 23.75 as a zone of interest. Another one potentially a bit further down, just with that previous gap that was left behind. Depends on how aggressive this wants to slide. This still has a minute and a half, so... Yeah, okay, a minute and a half is starting to run out of time now. I'd like to see how they respond. If they can pulse down real fast, there may be a nice little opportunity for like a bid hit down here, but... Back down to the POC. How much time? They still have 1:07. If they can slide down, if they still have like 30 seconds left, they might have a nice little flush down there to 21. They're going to have to do it in the next like 20 seconds though. They're running out of time. All right, S&P, now's your time to shine. If you're going to do it, pop fast. Nope, not enough time now. No thanks. There's too much potential of that closing out to be an incredibly strong bear bar. And I'm not really that interested in buying while it's forming. I would rather wait to see where that base is next. jumbotron of a bear bar will get sellers involved, 22.75, so likely they get at least a slide down to their targets. And that would also create a nice little flush underneath the 20 quarters. And that would also create a nice support flush down to 18 quarters. So I like it. It keeps getting further and further down. Yeah, I'm going to hold off. There's a lot of bearish involvement right now, and we're breaking back underneath the POC, closing strong. Ugh. Let's turn the ES on here real quick and see what's going on from Tick Strike's point of view. They still have not been given a chance to get a pop back up into their break-evens. Selling pressure across the board. That's a heavy bear bar. Bear engulfing on the 5-minute. I mean, that's why I wanted to cancel my line. That's tough to buy into. They've got a valid reason. NASDAQ beginning a descent back down again. See if they're able to actually transition a trend. So far, we've only had confirmed swings holding. None of them have been broken yet. That was so mean. And now we're pulling back. So the last one that we have is here, then before that here. That should remind you of a video that was launched not too long ago on YouTube about one of my favorite setups, that Goldman and all of them. That's right there. Gobble the stops underneath the first swing, but don't let it break the second. 2-to-1, 3-to-1, 5-to-1 type bounces. It's a Friday, and the trend has been predominantly down, though, so today it feels even heavier on that risk side. I would rather wait to see how they respond to it. Sellers are overdriving to the downside. Sheesh. More continuation to the downside. Major zone of interest for the NASDAQ is going to be hovering at 15,607 as a zone of support. Over on the S&P, they're diving through that entire zone of support now, which was kind of the concern. Good thing we swerved that long. It might still bounce. You know, maybe in hindsight I'll be upset in a few candles, but for right now, feeling like it was a pretty good choice to dodge that one. NASDAQ starting to push down in towards that area of interest. Let's see how the market wants to respond. I want to see it. We're back down to that low, and the S&P's still hanging on to it. Ooh, they're close. Starting to see a heavy dive to the downside. I don't even know what they've pulled back to, really. I mean, this thing just swerved right off the top. The first pullback, little microscopic L4 inside of there, I guess, into an L1, into another L1. I mean, technically speaking, they've got a jeez, what a wild slide. Now, it's got to be mentioned here that we're seeing some pretty strong bounces around this 7 area. Big void in volume back here on the NASDAQ. In fact, one of the levels has literally no volume. It is a total perfect void. That's back at 23. Wow. And when's the last time I've seen one of those, except like in the Euro session or something, you know? That's crazy. Just totally skipped the price. Didn't even trade it. We're down in that zone. Digging in. This is where all of those stops are going to be. Now we have to see what kind of response is down here. Is Goldman eating them? Looks like they took a little chomp there. Is it tasting good? Nope. Nope. This is poison. Get it out. Gee, you can almost see it too. Like, nope. They lost it. Look at that POC at the top too. Sheesh. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to give up on it, but you could really see them kind of retch after they took that bite. Like, no, that doesn't taste good. They spit that sucker right back out again. Now we got to see if they'll pop back up above it and treat it as support later on. But they're going to have to do it structurally now, which always makes it interesting. Of course, along the way, if you're watching this, and maybe you're totally new to trading, or you have no idea what I'm talking about, or you're just looking for a solid trade plan to get you going into the holidays, especially over the weekend now that you've got some time into the weekend, check out the Day Trading Academy. You've got 19 plus hours of video material in there to help you understand why the market's doing what it's doing. Very, very useful resource. Sellers still just wailing this thing to the downside. Heavy follow-through, possibility of candle gapping as well underneath that last bear bar on the S&P to the more current. That suggests that we've got downside continuation. Whoa, man, all the way down through a new low to 45.01. Bombs away. Heavy twin reversal off of that low. Immediately swept back down again, though. I mean, they blew through the area they were supposed to hold. Now they're going to be going into the weekend, hoping that that this is just a flush back down. Now, again, going into the weekend, noting the way this looks, how many times have we seen it where it's like really, really nice uptrend, wham! And then this happens. And it goes screaming all the way back up to the top. So... yeah, the Day Trading Academy, that's ssftg.com. That's our primary site. If you want more info about what's all in there, check that out. But Sandy, Foxtrot, Tango, Golf. ssftg.com. Tons and tons of material in there. Sellers still pressuring to the downside, 1590s.
Secretary of State Blinken say, I certainly hope not when asked if Russia is going to invade Ukraine.
Here's Abe Lincoln again. Yeah, for sure, no problem. Ooh, man. These sellers are really hitting the hammer down. Lots and lots and lots of bear pressure. Huge candle gapping to the downside. The last line of support that bulls have is right down here, 45.11 to like 10.50. I mean, they're there right now. Oof. Man, I tell you what, am I ever happy to swerve that previous long on the NASDAQ. Woo! Wipe the sweat off the brow. Good read on the volume, jeez. This thing's getting tanked. If we go out to the larger perspective, I mean, again, technically speaking, unless it breaks the low, we still have to assume that the bulls are trying to get this to rotate back up. But the downside target, the shorts, look at where we are. I mean, the sell side target, this is their 2-to-1. They missed it the first time by like a fraction. And now this time, talk about a fraction of a miss. It missed it even smaller. So, I mean, man, like part of me is looking at this thinking, okay, the sellers are having an incredibly difficult time getting through this. But if they do get through,
February 18th,
what's left? What's left to hold them up, you know? I mean, geez. There's nothing. You zoom out to the 60-minute chart, we don't have any support until 4,420, maybe? Hey, Raphael, how's it going? Good afternoon, my friend. And, you know, again, that furthers the concern of wave 1, wave 2, wave 3. And then we've got, you know, wave 4, wave 5, something like that. What just happened? There we go. That could get really, really nasty. I mean, this you can see they're trying to hold this floor so hard, but man, if they let go, it's game over. We could be in for a real big dip. Bitcoin, speaking of dip, also flushing back down. What a bounce on it. I can't believe they held that. That's like a 2-point zone. Wow. That's incredible. All right, well, NASDAQ bottom weighting the POC down there, 15,590. That was their last line of support, and man, they showed up to the party. Holy cow. Oh, fair enough. Jeez. S&P zone of interest is going to be digging up into these 1775 candle gaps that's still wide open, although I would like to see if they can rally up a little bit further. We're getting into really funky territory here, going on 140, getting closer to the end of the morning session. We're on a Friday. It's the first Friday of December. There's a lot of weird stuff going on. Man, and they missed it by a tick. I wanted them to go like 1 or 2 ticks higher. All right, we might just have to keep the chickens in the barn before we start counting them before they're hatched. Jeez. Well, since this is the end of the week, let's take a look at the overall math again. Now that we've got the end of the day and everything taken care of, I don't want to look to add any more risk to the table. But so far for the week, today's the 3rd. Beginning of the week is the 29th. Give me 1 second here. So for the week, looking at traders math here, just making sure that everything is alignment. And this is something that I highly recommend everybody does, is make sure that your traders math is correct. A lot of scalps this week, a lot of building in, a lot of building out, a lot of fun with this volatility. 236 trades this week, 67.37% accuracy, minus 100 would give us a loss accuracy of 32.63. Average loss is 47, and the average win is 39. So that gives us a trader's math this week of a little over 1,000. So an average week, a good week is like 600 to 800 for trader's math. Pushing into 1,000 is even better. We can also see that as far as the math is concerned, largest winning trades, largest losing trades, those are all in alignment. Everything's where it should be. There's a lot of scalps this week, so the risk reward being under 1 makes sense. The important thing is just ensuring that your trader's math is good. That's all I look for. I don't care about the dollars and cents and all that. Everybody's got a different size account. That's irrelevant. You got to be making sure that you're trading appropriately. The dollars and cents and all the other stuff will follow. If you're not trading right, though, then you just don't even put the risk on. Your account's basically gone before you started. You've got to have a plan. And like we were talking about, as far as the patterns for the week go, there's 22 trades, 10 successful, total for a positive 10R just on the pattern side. It's a good week, you know. I'm just not going to be too upset by that. A little bit frustrating with this back and forth herky jerk going on here on the NASDAQ and a couple misses on the S&P, but you know what? We'll take it. It's been an all right week. Good enough. So let's roll into the end of the morning session here. Feel free to get any of those questions in. We'll get those covered for you. And we'll go from there. The crypto world's finally starting to see a little bit of a pullback. Good. I can buy more crow. Dip. Bears still trying to continue down, but a massively bottom-weighted POC down to 87.50 is going to make it really, really tough. Thank you, Bram. I appreciate the feedback. I think it's a good balance. I've been pretty happy. I mean, at the beginning of the week it was a little bit rusty, but you know, I mean, new format and everything. Can't expect it to be super smooth out of the gates, but.
The U.S. Secretary of
Thank you
State
for the feedback. I appreciate it.
will lay out to Putin the U.S. desire for greater predictability and stability in ties with Russia.
Abe Lincoln on the mic. Careful. $15,600s is the balance point, and you know, again, there's not a whole lot left for the longs to hold up. If they can't hold this,
So further geopolitics, as we hear comments from U.S.
What's
Secretary of
left?
State Blinken, who says that Biden will tell Putin the U.S. is determined to stand up resolutely against any reckless or aggressive actions that Russia may pursue.
Crude oil, I really wanted to see them get down to the 64.50s, but they couldn't quite make it. I mean, maybe they still hit it. There's still a couple hours left in the day, but it's going to be difficult. Major zone of interest, though, on crude, still from all the way this morning, hasn't even triggered. We were talking about this this morning with YouTube members as well. 64.37 is that major zone of support. Nada. Bouncing back up above the 15,600s. So here again, you know, even though this is a possibility of a sell-side move, we have to ask ourselves, have the sellers been satisfied? That's a big NO. No targets for the short side that have been filled underneath this most recent POC, at least. And as far as the bulls are concerned, if they were buying off the lows, I think it's safe to say that we know what took place there. Oh, man, when they make it obvious, they make it obvious. But scalper targets are getting taken out. That's a good clue, at least, that the buyers have been slightly satisfied. I can't believe this S&P. This is crazy. They still haven't gotten into the area where I wanted them to either. I'm not going to put the risk on the table anymore. But all right, well, we've got about 15 minutes until we roll into 2 o'clock. If you have any final questions, feel free to drop those in, and we'll get those rocking and rolling.
Receives no bids at the overnight repo operation.
Don't forget, all 3 VIP packages come with, of course, the Day Trading Academy included in all of them, but they also come with permanent access to the live trade room for VIPs. That's where we run in the New York Stock Exchange. We run the morning room with VIPs from 9 to 12. So definitely something if you're looking for a little bit more screen time with us. That's the best way to do it. VIP Plus and VIP Elite packages also come with a huge added benefit for new traders with the APM Plus. So something massive in terms of a protection net, a safety net, etc. should things go south in trading. And not to mention, you gain the rewards along the way if you don't end up using it. As long as your trading is going well, then you can refund it out later and go on vacation. You know, it's whatever you want to do. More info on that, of course, is in the APM Plus guide on the main page of SSFTG. If you're looking for a more budget-friendly approach, you can fit your needs from that, especially going into the holidays. Good Lord. We have plans as low as $84 a month for 12 months. So, plus we have a 1-week trial, so you can see what everything's about. Lots of different ways to get involved. If you need any info about becoming a member or anything else, you can shoot me a message, jhb@ssftg.com. I can help you out from there. I'm not seeing anything else, though, as far as the risk profile or anything else that I want to put on the table. So far, it's just been kind of rocking and rolling. A couple of coins going into the weekend on the cryptoverse side of things. Obviously, Crow is finally pulling back, right? We were just kind of joking about that. As far as Crypto.com, the Crow coin and a zone of interest, honestly, they're, from a value perspective, previous historical pullbacks have been 20 to 30% on Crow. So if they get a little bit of a deeper pullback off the top that's larger than where they are now, which looks like that may be the case, then a larger 50 to 60% pullback, possibly even as deep as 70% historically, would put prices all the way back down to like 30 cents. More likely we see bouncing supported around the 40 to 41 cent mark. That's where all the volume was. But if it makes its way through that, then the next one's not until 18 cents. I still think 100% in my heart of hearts that Crow in the next 3 to 5 years is going to be worth 20 all the way up to possibly $100 a coin. They're bringing way too much to the table to not have even more of a drastic increase in price. I think this is ludicrously cheap, but that's not to say that there can't be a 50 or 60 or 70% pullback first. So you got to know about timing too, you know, pretty important. I am loving the way that looks. So another one that we were talking about in our Discord chat, that was DFI. That one's been doing incredibly well. We were talking about that down here in the $3 range. It did spike up to 6. I'm going to be 100% though. I did not see it go up to 6. I didn't see it until it had already backed off into the 450s. So a little bit late to the party on that one, but either way, it was still a really, really nice increase there. It's another DeFi platform if you haven't looked into them. Again, I don't know a whole lot about DFI as a platform because it's relatively new and it's newer. So I'm definitely approaching it more of risk on capital. There's been a lot of DeFi platforms that have been rug pulls lately. So definitely risk capital only. But, as far as DFI is going, the one big draw that I liked about them is the fact that they had a desktop platform that didn't suck. I mean, let's be real here. A lot of these other DeFi platforms, they don't even have desktop platforms. And the web versions they feel like they've been programmed in the 70s. So, I mean, seeing something that's a desktop-based platform that actually makes it easy, that definitely gets my interest. So it's still on the radar. As far as what they do in management with the company, we'll have to wait and see. And then another one, which I don't think has publicly traded coins yet, it's all in pre-sale and token, is Popcorn. Popcorn is another DeFi platform that is hyping up a positive experience in that investors also make a positive global experience with green offsets and all that kind of stuff. So another really cool possible network around the corner. Those are the ones that are really kind of piquing my interest at the moment. Of course, while the market's getting annihilated, a sea of red, I love looking at who's been whacked the hardest, and that's going to be Gala or whatever you want to call them. Here's the thing, right? I mean, when it goes from 10 cents to 84 cents, the same thing goes with Crow, why wouldn't people take profit? Like, even if they believe in the long term, why would they not take initial profit on the way up? And that's what we're seeing right now. I mean, it's hard to not blame them, right? But we're also not seeing them jump boat on all of them, right? It's not like they're liquidating everything. The POC's still way the heck down here. So if anything, on this rally to the upside, Gala still bought up at around the 11 or 12 cent mark, and all of that resistance in the 23 cent mark was profit taking, more profit taking into the 40 cent mark, and now just really spanned out across 65 to 85. It looks like they need to flesh this zone out a little bit, and that might mean that they're trying to pull back to create a base, which would be logical value at around like the 36, 37 cent mark. I think it would fit a little bit nicer. Based on that, then, that would create a scenario where it's got a shot to roll back up, which would be 100% just to the high closes. Jeez. Wow. Definitely on the radar. If you haven't checked out Gala and what they have available, they have like a farm. I equate it to like Farmville, kind of. But it's actually kind of fun, and it's free to get in compared to like AXS, Axie Infinity, and all of those where you have to buy a little avatar that costs like $1 bajillion to get into the game, and then the game's graphics are like Game Boy. I mean, I could spend $1,000 on a creature to fight in this Game Boy game and maybe make some money, or I could spend $60 on a AAA game and get some real good graphics. You're not getting into these with mindsets of actually having fun playing these games. Let's be real. That's not, at least yet. That said, some of them are actually getting a little bit fun, but they have a really expensive barrier for entry, and that's a huge turnoff for new investors. It's like, with Bitcoin being at $60,000. It's, if you were to put $10,000 into Bitcoin, you feel like, man, I'm putting in 10 grand. Like, yeah, we're doing good. We're cranking this. And you look at it, you're like, bro, what? I got like how many fractions of a coin? It just doesn't feel that satisfying, That way, a lot of people look at it in Satoshis to make them feel a little bit better. But it always feels better when it's like, oh, I bought Doge and I have 7 bajillion coins. You feel like you're massively loaded, even though each coin's only worth fractions of a penny. Or, well, not anymore. But, so it's one of those things where the barrier to entry with Axie Infinity is an example, each coin being like $130. Or I can go over to Gala and play a game for free and possibly earn that way. More people are going to pick the free route. That's just kind of how it works. All right. Well, I'm not seeing anything else that I want to put any more risk on the table, so we'll roll out and call this a day, call this a week. Like we always say going into the weekend, make sure to spend some time away from the markets. I know, right? Tap into the veins. I love it too. I'm addicted to it real bad. But we've got to understand that we make more decisions in one day than most people make in a week. And I 100% mean that from this morning. If you were in the VIP room, you know exactly what I was talking about. But it's one of those things where it doesn't feel like it. I get it. It's fun to look at charts and all that. You got to go over the weekend and take some time away. At least a day. Do something else. Come back on Sunday, ready to rock and roll. Come back on Monday, something like that. For me, I'm going to duck out this weekend, and we're going to have some fun, and we'll be ready to rock and roll back on Monday, all right? So enjoy, rest up. If you have any questions about anything, becoming a member, any charts that you want me to take a look at, any trades that you want me to review for you can shoot me a message, jhb@ssftg.com, and I can help you out from there. So that's going to do it. I hope you had an amazing week. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and I will see you all on Monday, all right? Have a good one, and we will talk to you all later. Thanks.